This is your boy DJ Leon D. We talk about a lot of things on this channel. We talk about food, we talk about relatives, we talk about a lot of things. And the reason we do because we're old as hell and we know a lot. We're not experts, but we know a lot. But let's talk about food. And that's the primary thing I talk about. Let me tell you something that I need to ask this question because I felt I knew the answer, but I went to Panama and I came back baffled at, did I really know the answer? The question is this: is it really a breakfast if there's no bacon? Is it really a breakfast? Hell no. That's just a snack to get you to the next meal. And let me tell you why I brought this up. I went to Panama. I stayed at one of the nicest hotels in Panama. And they were famous for their breakfast. Everybody said, man, the breakfast is some of the best breakfast you're ever going to have in your life. And that was the Hotel Riu, R-I-U, Plaza. And the first 5 days of a 2-week trip, man, the breakfast was off the chain. Now, here's the deal. On day number 6, I go to breakfast. I'm starving. Been out, had a good dinner, went out. I'm starving. They messed around. I would go to get some bacon. They didn't have no bacon, no ham, no sausage. I say, hello, who's bringing the bacon out? And they looked at me like, there ain't none coming out. Today is Chinese Day. I said, wow. I said, so I didn't know that because I would have went somewhere else, which I did the next day. But the Chinese don't eat bacon. They grow more pork. They raise more pork than any other country in the world. We actually import pork from China. And so you telling me the Chinese don't eat damn bacon? Well, I've seen some pudgy Chinese running around Panama. They ate something that wasn't meat. And they ate it at breakfast. My whole thing is this. You can't tell somebody you're serving an international breakfast. That's the stuff you got to tell me. Because the first 5 days, I was impressed. I was truly impressed. But man, they didn't have no bacon. And now, I ain't got to have bacon, but I got to have some meat. I got to have some meat. So this is how I got around that problem. I went and ordered me an omelet with just ham. And I said, I want extra ham. And I watched her load up my ham and cheese. But I said, light on the cheese, heavy on the ham. But that's not what I want to eat. I wanted just meat by itself. I wanted just meat by itself. That's what I really wanted to eat. And I was totally disappointed. And I can tell every minority in there was disappointed. Now, let me tell you something that I told the manager. I said, hey, you don't have any bacon for breakfast. What days you don't have breakfast on? Bacon on. She said, well, there's no bacon tomorrow. There's none the next day. I said, good. And she said, we try to have international days for different parts of the world. I said, let me tell you something right now. If you're Arab, Muslim, whatever have you, you don't eat ham or bacon, whatever, I'm fine with that. Still put it out because I do eat it. You just ain't got to grab none. Like, I don't grab things I don't eat. I did not want some soupy stuff. You know, if you don't eat that, that's fine. But give me the option to say no. Don't you say no for me. And that's just what they did. And she was kind of like, well, we're not having any bacon tomorrow. So I went to a place called Michael's in Panama. So every time they did, and I asked every night because I did not want to get up and make so bad. The bacon was good, but I did not want to get up every morning and get my feelings hurt. Now, Michael's cost money. So I left the free food to go, and they had a huge spread. But all that Chinese shit they had in there, I didn't know what it was. But I knew it wasn't breakfast food that I'm familiar with. I'm like, what man sit there and don't want some kind of meat? And the only meat I'm going to get is in eggs. No, I wanted my standalone bacon like I had the previous 5 days. That's what I wanted. So I told the manager, I said, hey, there's some fundamental things that you need to know about food. First of all, let me tell you, butter ain't good without salt. It's lonely. It's very, very lonely. It ain't good without salt. Butter is not good without salt. Rice really ain't that good without gravy. You gotta have something else with it. You can't just give me, when I lived in Thailand, they give you just white rice, nothing else. And they look at you all funny. It's kind of like fufu. All this imitation meat, those people who eat imitation meat really wants meat. But they want to convince you that I'm eating healthy. Well, you don't get fat eating healthy. It's just impossible. You get fat because you ate what the hell you wanted to eat, even though you should not have eaten it. That's how you get fat. I got some relatives that are big, and so I know how they got fat. They don't go there and say, give me the light hamburger. No, give me the biggest hamburger you got. That's what they do. Some things should always have a twin. Salt and pepper. They're twins. You get one, you should get the other two. Unless you're eating a steak. Then just get some pepper. Or just a little bit of salt. But you ain't got to have them together. But a lot of things, it's kind of like chocolate and vanilla. If you sell chocolate, you should be selling vanilla. Because not everybody eats chocolate or vanilla. But they're twins. You always buy them together. When I go out and buy ice cream for my house, I get chocolate and vanilla because I got some kids love chocolate, some love vanilla. So it's kind of like, Jack Daniels and Coke. Some people say, well, Pepsi, Coke. Hell no. Pepsi and Coke do not taste the same. Pepsi is sweet as hell. Hell no. And so breakfast twin is bacon or ham or some kind of beef sausage. You can even get cute and throw in some turkey sausages or chicken sausages in there too. I'm not eating those things, but I know people I travel with who will eat those things because they want to now get skinny when they've been fat for 50 years. You've been fat for a while. You know what? Just get used to being fat. You're going to die fat. Okay? Get over it because ain't no such thing as a fat skeleton. Nope, you got skin and meat on no bones. But my whole point was I lived around the world, been to a lot of countries. I really not seen this place was huge as far as the offerings for breakfast. I mean, how you offer a breakfast this damn big and you ain't got no meat, no standalone meat at all. And I know you got bacon in the back. And the bacon is just dying to come out. And I'm dying to have it out. That's just me. But you get people and they think that I'm going to make everybody happy. If you sell bacon or not sell, you get bacon out with breakfast and on Monday and it all goes because you got 1,000 people staying in your hotel, don't you think it's a good idea to have it on Tuesday? Because the one thing they want to eat is what's all gone. That's what they want to eat. But if you sit there and you said, we're going to switch it up, I get that you want to make everybody happy. But that's not the goal. The goal is to make sure that you ain't got no spoilage. Now, saying that, in the hotel I stayed at, they had probably 1,000 people because the bar stayed crowded, the breakfast place stayed crowded, the pool area stayed crowded, and the hotel RIU, RIU, is a very, it's like matter of fact, it's 33 stories up because I stayed on the top floor. But what you got to tell yourself, though, there is no Chinese staying there. I didn't see not one damn Chinese. I didn't see not one person from the Middle East. If I did, they're so dark, I thought they were black. That's just what it is. Because I ain't see nobody who really was brown outside of Panamanians. So, saying that, if I got no Chinese staying in my hotel, why in the hell do I care about a Chinese breakfast? That's the part that bothered me. I say, well, you got all this Chinese stuff and chopsticks and all this. Who in the hell uses them? These chopsticks are the same ones that were here earlier this morning. So if you don't have any Chinese in a restaurant, a hotel, you should don't worry about the damn restaurant having Chinese food. Now, the other thing too, they had a huge sushi bar. Now, I know for a fact that, people non-Japanese or whatever eat sushi. I get all that. But here's the deal. I never saw anybody go in there. At night, there's not one single person in there ordering food. And I know for a fact, if they was to open a Popeyes in there, that place would be jam-packed. Because the people I saw in the lobby and by the pool and bar area, they were chicken eaters. Because when they was ordering food from the restaurant from the hotel other restaurant, that's all they were ordering. Then I went to the bar one night, and all they were ordering was chicken off the menu. That's all they was ordering. So I'm thinking, you got a nice space here, and you're wasting it on sushi. No, man, you got to know how to run a business. Maybe the owner is Asian or something, but that place just is a waste of space. It's a waste of space. And I saw that, and the people I was with, we was talking, they saw the same thing. They were like, that's a nice space over there. Right by the bar, right by the pool, you got sushi. Maybe I went during the wrong part of the year. Maybe. Now, here's the funny thing about the whole thing. They took away the bacon, but they had everything else from the day before. So you trying to do it for the Chinese, then, I'm sure the Chinese don't eat our oatmeal. I'm sure they don't eat, omelets like we do. I'm sure they don't eat the same fruits. I'm sure they don't eat the same cream of wheat. I'm like, hold it. You telling me that you doing it for other customers? First of all, the Chinese food that you put out is still sitting there. Ain't nobody touched none of this shit out of 1,000 people. Like I said, it wasn't no Chinese in the damn hotel. Not even the few Japanese I seen touched the food. Plus, the hotel was very, very pricey for that city, for Panama City. I'm sure they got Chinese because they got a large Chinese population, and no matter where you go, you're gonna find a bunch of them. They're gonna run in packs, okay? But that hotel didn't have any. That hotel catered to Westerners. But yet, some people say, if 5% of the population in this hotel is Chinese, then I'm fine with that. But 5% means that 1 out of every 20 days, you should have a Chinese meal or breakfast for them. Not 3 days in a row. And then on top of that, when you look at the restaurants in the hotel, none of those restaurants had anything Chinese on their regular menu. None of them. Because I walked around and looked, because I was debating about eating in the hotel or not for dinner. So I went to all the restaurants. I ain't see nothing Chinese on any restaurant menu. But yet you done spoil my breakfast. I got to go out and eat. I got to get up, get an Uber to go somewhere to get something I want to eat. And my thing was, you had a captured audience that was eating the hell out of your food because it was good until you changed one thing. You took away the meat. Now, some people may not want meat. I'm fine with that, but I do. I do, and I don't hide that fact. I'm a meatitarian. Some people might be a vegetarian, like my wife. She's not a vegetarian. She just, meat isn't her thing. She'll eat it sometimes she won't, but she prefers seafood, which I'm fine too. But me, if it's got a hoof, matter of fact, it ain't got to have a hoof. Just have a shoulder. I'm going to bite it. So my whole point to the manager was, tell me the days you're not going to have bacon or ham or anything like that, and I'll just go somewhere else, which they did every morning and sometimes at night too. It depends on who was on duty, the staff. Sometimes the staff don't know what they're going to have for breakfast. And I found that hard to believe because the staff was big as hell, and I knew the overnight staff was eating a breakfast, and they probably had bacon. They ended up eating my bacon because they had access to the kitchen. And the kitchen was big. It was nice. But you got to ask yourself, how in the hell you going to tell me it's a breakfast and there's no meat? No. It's like eating eggs and grits. No, if I eat eggs and grits, I want some sausages to go with it or some bacon to go with it. I want something to make it a meal. Because I like to walk it off. And people say, well, protein is protein. The hell of it is. To me, when I think of protein, I think of meat. Some of y'all think of these protein drinks and all this other fancy stuff that people call protein. Well, I'm eating nuts. I'm eating bacon. I think of meat when I think of proteins. I don't cut no corners. If it ain't meat, to me, it's not a meal. I don't care what kind of meal. If it's lunch, it's got to have meat. If it's dinner, it's got to have meat. And if it's breakfast, I want a lot of meat. It's got to have meat for me to call it a meal. Any kind of meal. But especially at breakfast. You take a nice shower, you're all excited, you got a big breakfast down there, big spread, and it's all free. You expect to go there and just go through a pack of bacon by yourself. You expect to go through a whole pack of bacon. And most mornings I try. I like to give my teeth a workout. I want something that's crunchy. People say, well, it ain't always just, about, you can have a continental breakfast. I've never had one because I saw what they looked like and I saw they were missing meat. I've never had one. When I was in Finland, Munich, whatever. To me, give me a lot of options and I'm going to pick the meat option every time. Those who don't want meat, give them options too. And they can eat just the fruit. I'm fine with that. They eat just the fruit, but I'm going over here and I'm going to hang out with Porky a little bit. Me and Porky going to have some fun. Because one of us is going to be eating the other. But that's just me. And it didn't seem to get through to the manager very well when the next day he said, hey, Mr. Pollock, are you going to eat breakfast? Hell no. I already know you ain't no meat. You told me last night. No, hell no. I'm not. I don't want your breakfast. Now, he had French toast, pancakes. They had all that stuff you want. Eggs, had everything. But they were missing the number one ingredient for a breakfast. For me to define anything as a breakfast, it's got to have some meat, preferably bacon. And those who don't eat pork, oh well, more for me. It's more for me. That's how I see it. People say, oh, you're being selfish. I paid my money. You didn't pay my money, so I'm not worried about you and what you're gonna eat. I paid my money for me to eat what I want to eat. So I end up going to Michael's because Michael's had a great breakfast. The food is just good. That's one of the best breakfast places in the world. I'm saying that, and I'm not getting paid. I've never got paid by YouTube or I've never been sponsored by anybody because I like my independence. I've never depended on anybody else's check to make me happy. The best way to make me happy is for me to pay my own way. And I don't mind that. And actually, I like that. But, then you can tell by the crowd. Everybody went to the same place the bacon was at the first 5 days, thinking they were going to get some bacon. They all thought that. Hell, after I didn't see bacon the first time, I waited 20 minutes and went back up to make sure they was not going to have any bacon. I thought it's a possibility they just ran out and the cook is just going to bring some more out here like he did the fruit. Hell no. He went in the kitchen and, behind the doors and never came back out. Hell no. You know how you have your heart set on something and then you're full of disappointment? That's how I felt. Because I just knew I had a world-class breakfast coming up. And a world-class breakfast has to have bacon. And not only that, in Panama, the bacon strips are a little longer than the strips in the States. But, we go by weight. I'm good with that. But if you go to a restaurant and you like a good breakfast in the morning, you need to check and see, talk to the manager, check and see what they're going to serve. Because the people that had told me how great the breakfast was, and I looked at some reviews, every picture showed bacon. None of them ever said anything about a damn Chinese day. None of them ever said that. That's why I think my feelings were hurt. But you need to make sure you know what you're going to get before you get up in the morning. Don't get up hoping. Hope is a terrible strategy unless you're the last man in the club. There's only one woman left. You hoping things go right. But my whole point is this. Don't write a review and say the breakfast is great if you didn't see some kind of meat with your breakfast. You know, the Hampton Inn at least give you little sausage patties or chorizo or something. They give you something to go with the bread. Because bread ain't really good just by itself. Anybody can tell you that. I'm gonna tell you a fact. Those who don't know, just plain bread ain't no good. You gotta toast it, butter it, and make it even better. You can put jam in, you can put some jam on it, or you can put some meat on it. That is bread best friend, meat. Whether it's a hot dog, hamburger, ham sandwich, whatever you want to call it. Grilled cheese, bread, best friend is some kind of meat. Cheese is a neighbor. In the house is meat. So my whole thing to this, if you write a review and you don't see meat, you automatically gives it a 1. Automatically gives it a 1. You see meat, you got 3 or above. Because see, that's why I don't really read reviews. Very seldom. I look at the photos, and like I said, every single one had meat on their plate and saying this is the best breakfast in Panama. No, the best breakfast in Panama is Michael's. You pay for it, which is, you know, some people don't want to pay for what they want. I like paying for what I want because I want what I want, not what you want to give me. That's where I'm different. And some people say, well, I'll get some meat at lunch. No. I'm having meat at every meal. Every meal I'm having meat. That's what I'm going to do. I've lived my life that way. I'm too old to change, and I don't mind spending the money to get what I want. Now, even though the meal was free, everything free ain't good. Everything free is not good because this was not a good breakfast. The first 5 days set the stage for what I expected for the rest of my stay. It set the stage for the rest of my stay. So I automatically assumed that things were getting better. But, you know, when I look back, I kind of had the same breakfast every morning for 5 days. And then for 3 days, it went straight downhill. Matter of fact, it got to a point where by day number 9, I got up, called an Uber, get ready to go to Michael's, walked past the kitchen, and saw bacon again. You know, so I had to cancel the Uber. I'm like, okay, now I got to cancel the Uber because they got bacon. But the next day, I did go to Michael's again because I didn't want to take a chance because I was hungry as hell. And I couldn't take a chance on my breakfast not being what I wanted to be or what I thought it was going to be. I would have wasted 3 or 4 minutes walking way down the hallway past because the kitchen was big and the eating area was huge. They probably can easily seat 300 people. But I was not going to take a chance going down there and get my feelings hurt. And then I'm mad and everybody around me know I'm mad. I just jumped in a taxi and went to Michael's. I said, because I know I'm here for 2 weeks. In a few days, they're going to have that Chinese breakfast again. But ain't no damn Chinese in here to eat breakfast other than me. And I'm not Chinese. You know, like I said. So I started thinking, I went to ask the manager about the 10th day, what else days do y'all have breakfast for and what do they eat? Because I need to know if you got Indians and they don't eat meat, oh well, I need to know. I need to be on a plan here. And he said, we're going to have bacon for the next 6 days. I said, okay, you know what? It's on. I ate so much bacon on day number the next day because I wanted my body to have that bacon in it in case tomorrow you don't. Eat like a camel. It's going to last me a couple of days. It's going to last me a couple of days. But anyway, I just want y'all to know it's not a breakfast if there's no meat. It's not a breakfast. Don't advertise breakfast. Just say we got some stuff to eat. Then I know it ain't no meat. Whether you cutting your budget back, whatever, I know it's not no meat. Because I know I got to have some meat in order for me to say, oh, we're having a breakfast. We having a lunch. We having a dinner. Anything that don't have meat is not one of those 3 categories. Call it a snack. To me, eating a meal without meat is like eating grapes. It ain't gonna do nothing for me in the long run. Nothing at all. So this is your boy DJ Leon D saying, hey, this is my rant and rave. Don't call it a breakfast if it ain't got no meat. Don't write a review and say it's great if it ain't got no meat. Peace.